Hi friends, welcome to us continuing to refine our show format. I have housing news to tell you, music to introduce you to, and I planned a field trip for us. We're also moving our 2-year-old from this bedroom into the bigger one next door, so in between segments I'm going to continue to work on that, because that's usually when I get house projects done, in between my work. What do you think? Do you want this room?
Yes.
Do you want to sleep in here?
Yes.
I'm going to paint it for you.
Yes.
At home in Seattle.
Okay, I think we're recording everywhere. We have a fancy setup this week.
Fancy. Someone said, stop holding your little lapel mic like a tiny candy bar in front of your face.
Sounds like we got giant microphones.
So here we are. We take feedback.
Welcome to our podcast. Where are we right now?
We're at Bitter Lake. It's secret.
It is a secret lake. This is the second smallest lake in Seattle.
After Holler Lake.
After Holler Lake.
It's small, but it's not like teeny tiny.
It's tucked away.
It's sort of
secret. There's a public park with a field.
It really is kind of surprising when you come down here. It's like, whoa, this is beautiful.
And there's a path from our newest, not our newest listing, I guess, but one of our condo listings.
We're in Bitter Lake today, a little neighborhood named after the lake called Bitter, and we're on a private, secret trail that leads down to the lake right from the one-bedroom condo that we have on the market here.
I've kind of rewritten the format, so we're just diving right into housing news.
Alex, you were so excited about your segments.
I know. I have a problem in that I can't just be content with something, and I have to always be refining and improving. We'll see if that actually happens, if this is an actual improvement.
Okay, no segments. We'll just talk real estate. Wow. There was a debate last night.
There was a debate last night. Did you watch it?
This is probably by the time this posts, it was a few nights ago.
Yeah.
Why did you have to ask me on camera if I watched the debate?
I mean, I didn't either.
I did not watch the debate. I am planning to read the headlines and watch a few video clips, but yes. I did not think I needed to sink that much time into watching it.
No. I heard that it was interesting. I don't know. So, presidential candidates, everybody has thoughts on housing. Maybe the president can fix the state of housing.
What are they going to do?
I find that unlikely, but they have talked about it, and at least some of them have plans in place.
Like what?
Okay. Kamala Harris. She has a couple ideas that she has said publicly. Nothing super formal, but the biggest thing is that she wants to increase supply, which I think is probably the best way to solve the housing crunch.
Yep.
So she said that she wants to build 4 million new houses,
okay.
Which if you look at prior data and how fast housing has been built in the past couple decades, that number is very ambitious. And mostly because the federal government doesn't control all of these restrictive zoning laws and building restrictions.
Yeah.
So it's very hard for a president to actually implement that.
Yeah. Okay. But more housing, that all sounds positive. How it gets paid for and done, that's another story.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Another thing is that she wants to give a credit, or basically just a blank check of $25,000 to any first-time home buyer.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on that?
How political do we want to get on this channel? I mean, we can just...
Politics aside, just think about basic economics. If you increase demand and just give out free money, that's just going to drive up prices.
Yeah. And I think it could lead people to get into a home that they potentially can't afford.
Good point. I didn't even think of that.
On a monthly basis. So, yeah, more money drives up prices. And, I mean, I don't really believe in protecting people from themselves. So, my argument's not that good. But you're right. Yeah, more money in the system means prices go up. That's what we saw during COVID. For example.
Yeah, exactly. With all of those stimulus checks. The last thing that she has stated is that she wants to rein in tax breaks for all of these corporate investors who are going in and either building or just buying out housing developments and then renting them out.
Oh, okay.
Which I think is good.
To free up homes for people who live in them.
Yeah. Yeah.
For homeowners, I should say.
For homeowners, yes. I think that this is a good plan, but it's also, I think it's just an attempt to grab some news headlines, because I saw a stat a little bit ago that these corporate overlords are only representing like 3% of the market. So they're
Yeah.
they get a lot of press, but they're not actually doing all that much to influence the
Yeah.
cost of
That is
housing.
kind of just a sexy thing to say. about
Okay, so
T-Man?
moving on to Trump.
Trumpet.
Okay, so it's interesting because he has already been a president, so there is a bit of a track record in some of his policies. He has not said very much at all during the campain about
Par for the course.
what he wants to do for the state of housing. But he has been very vocal about being against low-income housing, which is kind of interesting, seeing that he is a real estate developer.
Why is he against low-income housing?
He says that it drives property values down. I mean, all of these kind
True.
of age-old, complaints about
Arguments, yeah.
low-income housing. I do not believe that, though. I think that having diverse people in a neighborhood makes it more vibrant, brings more businesses in, and more culture, and ultimately brings property values up. Do you disagree?
Well, I mean, I think the value of a building, low-income housing building, for example, would be lower than its counterpart that was not.
Well, the building itself, but
Yeah.
his argument is that it brings property values in the neighborhood down.
Mm-hmm.
Where you look at places like Capitol Hill that have historically been very diverse, both financially, racially, pretty much everything. It's a very culturally vibrant area, and that's why people move there and why people like it and what brings businesses there and is what makes it very expensive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think it's a bad argument. He also wants to deport all the immigrants in order to free up housing, which, I mean, it's a very politically fraught topic and we don't have to address that. But I think that an unintended consequence of this is that construction prices go up because
They're the workers often.
they're the
Yeah,
workers.
it's true.
I've been having a lot of conversations with clients recently, people bemoaning the high cost of labor. I am constantly bemoaning the high cost of labor. That's why I often do a lot of DIY projects. But that's part of the problem. It's like there's not much of a blue collar workforce in, at least in Seattle these days.
I worry about the blue collar workforce in our country pretty significantly. That if there's something that keeps me up at night in the political sphere. So that's a really good point. Yeah, driving the cost of labor up.
And then finally, he says that he wants to bring interest rates down, which doesn't everybody.
Yeah.
I think that the president doesn't have very much power over that because it's more in the Federal Reserve's hands. But it's a good sentiment to
Good
have.
talking point. Yeah.
So how's the market going these days? What are you feeling?
A little bit like I mentioned, I think in last week's episode that we're kind of waiting for this, like, what's the phrase? Water floodgates to break loose, and I think that could still be coming. Interest rates did just hit an annual low this last week, but on the ground, I feel like we're feeling like it's a little bit slow.
Yeah.
Right now, I think it is still just that post Labor Day. And people waiting till election, potentially waiting for those further rate drops.
Yeah.
So just a little bit of a waiting game.
Yeah, we have 3 listings on the market right now. They are all sitting at or over a week at this point, which in a traditional real estate market is not very long.
Yeah.
But it is a little bit slower for the city of Seattle. And I had interesting conversations with all of these sellers. We were talking about timing, and I've been talking to people about this quite a bit recently. A couple other people who are thinking about selling their house, and we decided to put all these listings on the market because they just couldn't wait. They had
Various personal circumstances.
They had to move and move on from their house. But I've talked to other people and just kind of running the numbers where if you add up the mortgage of waiting for 6 months until the typical spring rush, say that costs $20,000 to just hold on to that house for that long. But if you can sell for $50,000 more in the future than you can now, it's worth waiting.
Yeah. But of course, We don't have a crystal ball, so we don't know for sure what's going to happen in the spring. But I think it is important to kind of talk through those scenarios because spring typically is a more bustling season, more demand out there. So if you're thinking about putting your home on the market, it could be worth waiting till spring. We have these conversations when you come to talk to us about selling your house.
So the typical house in Seattle is taking about 7 days to sell right now, which is up from the 4 or 5 from a couple months ago.
I have nature in my eye. One sec. Cut the camera.
What's interesting is if you take the traditional single-family home out of that equation and just look at townhouses, it jumps up to 24 days.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say way slower, right?
Yeah. There's just more inventory. Basically, that's what it comes down to. There's more inventory of townhouses.
Yep.
If you look at condos, since we have a couple condo listings, it's more like a month and a half right now.
Even more inventory?
Yeah. More inventory and just less demand for condos these days.
Yep. So this isn't really market news, but we were just talking to a client on the phone this morning, and we were marveling at when you're home shopping as a buyer, the fact that you maybe only see the house that you're buying for like max a couple hours, sometimes like 10 minutes. Depending on the situation. Or if you work with Alex, a lot of the time, sometimes you don't see it because maybe you live, out of state and he's doing video tours for you.
12-minute long video tour.
Yeah. But isn't that wild?
It's crazy.
I was just thinking about like the stressors of buying and selling a home and, talking to someone who's understandably quite stressed. And she's like, I've only seen it for 10 minutes. Like, is it going to be what I'm remembering? But that is kind of wild. But that's how we do stuff here.
Yeah, it's a lot of money, and then to just I mean, that being said, I feel like most people make their housing decisions in the first 30 seconds.
It's true. Yeah, I'm sure there's psychology behind that. But interesting to think about.
Yeah, just thinking about how we have shopped. It's you walk into a house and pretty immediately you
just know. Just
and
instincts.
I can see it on a lot of people's faces as I'm house hunting with them, and they feel bad. They're like, "Oh, we should keep looking at the house just since we're here."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, we can leave."
And that's how we were with our on our investment property hunt. And that's not even like a home we're going to live in, but we've only made maybe 2 offers, and both of them were just like, "Yep."
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. So as prices are coming down and, it's not anything dramatic, I think I said last episode that we saw a $30,000 reduction in the median home price in the city of Seattle.
But that's coming off of August, which, the slower summer months.
Yeah, so we'll see it continue to come down over the fall and winter. But I was having a interesting conversation. A client had some good insight where he was saying that, you set up a parameter for house hunting. You're like, I want 3 bedrooms, this much space, this kind of house. And then prices don't come down. You keep that same parameter and you just slowly start to see the houses change. And you get more for your money, maybe a bit nicer finishes.
Yeah.
I don't think, psychologically, if you're house hunting, it's not very often that people are like, oh, prices are coming down, I'm going to shop for a cheaper house now.
Yeah, that's true. And it's not, should they be doing that?
I don't know. I just said that and I'm like, oh, maybe they should be doing that. But psychologically, I've never seen that. More often people kind of push their budget a little bit and push it up.
Well, because, it's all cyclical. So, in the spring, you have your parameters set and you're probably watching the houses come through your filter getting slightly worse.
Yeah.
You can get less for your money. That is really interesting to think about. I think it would take a really emotionally aware and intelligent person to be able to kind of make those shifts in real time.
Which those people are very far and few in between.
Because home buying is so emotional.
Yeah.
So to be able to say, the houses that are coming through are nicer and nicer, and I don't need that nice of a house. So I'm going to, cut my budget a little bit to just buy the house that I need. It's just not how the human psyche works. Typically, it's like, sweet, now I can afford the quartz countertops or whatever.
Yeah. Sure.
So that's interesting to think about. I hope this is helpful for you, just to like kind of hear stories about what real people are doing in their home buying and selling here in Seattle. And also, I hope you get curious about Bitter Lake and wander down here.
Oh, it's so cool. We saw ducks, just like.
If you're
going out
watching
on
the YouTube version of this, I'm sure we'll put in some B-roll
Yeah.
so you can see where we are.
After painting the ceiling, we got a text message from friends who were getting rid of a twin trundle bed, so I ran over to their house. We're giving away Seeley's baby furniture to another friend expecting early next year. I do love the sharing economy that develops when you live in a place long enough. We exchange things with friends all the time and are active on Buy Nothing, which you should definitely join if you haven't yet. I just fit everything into our Subaru. Well, I guess not quite, because I did have to lash the door down not quite closed. I'm coming up to our Airbnb house on Woodby Island today to take care of a couple of projects. I left at like 7, drove through some fog, which made a very pleasant drive. And I'm just here for a couple hours before guests come in at 4 today. I have a couple things that I want to accomplish. First, making a video on how to operate the gas fireplace, because people get tripped up on that quite a bit. I bought a drain snake to clear the bathroom tub, which is draining a little bit slow. I think that'll be helpful. We got a new record player because the old trendy Victrola one was pretty awful and broke after 2 years. I'm restocking supplies like toilet paper and soaps and various things like that. And I have to clean a skylight where we killed a hornet's nest, and I'm not exactly sure how I'm gonna get in there. I don't exactly know how I'm gonna open that skylight up. Let's find out. Oh, it's just a piece of plexiglass. It is shaping out to be a really beautiful day. Sun's kind of out, just like 5 minutes from the house. We're at the beach, and it's still incredibly foggy. But I was only here for like 2 hours. The Airbnb is performing very well this year. We've been booked completely solid in the summer. We made $13,000 in August, which is great. I mean, we do have a $4,500 a month expense with the mortgage and utilities and such. But that doesn't really make up for the $0 that we made in January and the pretty slow winter.
Put your arms back. This looks really good. Well, you can't.
I'd plan a field trip for us, so we did a house swap with somebody that has a studio down in Belltown, and we stayed here last night. We don't go into the city that often. It's just kind of hard to park. There's, a lot of traffic. Not to sound like a suburban snob or anything, it's just pretty hard to leave the neighborhood these days with the 2-year-old. But a staycation, playing tourist in our own city, does sound like a lot of fun. And check out the view.
There are digs for the weekend. So if you've ever wondered what it's like to live in downtown, or we're actually in Belltown, this is it. This is the studio. It feels really spacious, or even though it's just a studio, because they have it like divided like that. So you have your whole bedroom area and bathroom. But, you know, when you're here, it's really all about the fact that we walk to Macrina and this. Oh, and the rooftop. Have we shown that yet?
Do you want to eat? Yeah. So we're on the rooftop of our home for the weekend. Just enjoying some strawberries and some coloring and the views.
Oh, the camera's rolling.
Yeah.
You just always have the camera going. I was just telling Alex, I was pleasantly surprised. I feel like I like Belltown a little bit more now.
Yeah.
After having trolled around.
It's very hilly. We walked down to the water.
Too many hills, but
Got kind of sweaty.
views, Sculpture Park, met like a lovely, like friendly coffee shop.
Oh, yeah, everybody has been so friendly.
We just did that trip to New York City, you know, another like urban trip, so we're kind of naturally comparing them, and you know, each has its pros and cons, but people are way friendlier here. Just want to, like, people in the condo that we're staying at, just want to chat in the elevator, like the baristas want to talk. It's a lot.
I got a cold brew, which was like maybe the best cold brew that I've ever gotten. It was a bit of a trick. The barista was like, "Oh, how do you like it?" And like, "Oh, I love it." And she's like, "Yeah, I add a little bit of sugar to it." And like,
What did she say? Syrup? Maybe
simple syrup.
simple syrup. And that's what it tastes like. It's just like the bitterness was just cut a little bit. It was really good, but I'm like, you should probably tell people that you've added sugar to the. Otherwise,
I mean, I don't mind. I really enjoyed it.
yeah, but like people are
But
tense about that around
yeah.
here, their diets and their intolerances.
yeah. We found this really cute secret pea patch, and it's called a cottage park. It is a secret.
It's like the second time this week we think
Maybe. But it's like kind of hidden. We're in the middle of the city. You can hear the motorcycles, and there are flowers absolutely everywhere. I'm gonna get you. You think Mom's gonna save you? I'm doing an open house at our Capitol Hill condo listing, and open houses at condos are always a little difficult. Access is just kind of hard. You know, I have a sign out by the front door that says, "Text me if you want to come up for the open house," but you know, we'll see if anybody shows up. I do think that it's worth getting the signs out there, and I have like a QR code to the custom website, so it gets a little bit of exposure. I do really like this condo though. This is a great setting, great location. Kendall and I came here the other day via light rail, and it was super easy, so you know, commuting is a breeze here. Just had a moment of like, what if I made a typo and got my number wrong, but I didn't. You can see I have a little open house sign going on right here. Here's the building right here, and we're like right in the middle of everything. There's some good Korean barbecue and a lot of good restaurants down that way. I wanted to come up to the rooftop again to check out the view. It's pretty great here. It's pretty fun at night. We're just staying in a studio apartment, and it's a little hard with a 2-year-old. We've just been fighting each other all night. She needs to go to bed. It's almost 9, but we're not in bed. We're up and about, so it's hard to convince her to do otherwise. So this is probably one of the longer videos that we've made.
Is it recording?
Yeah, it is.
Oh.
I thought that it would be fun to look at some of the comments because we asked for feedback in the last video and we got a lot of it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I remember asking for feedback about whether or not we should have 2 different channels because you really like making videos and we like having family memories and such, but it's not necessarily Seattle real estate content. So we started this second channel, but it's kind of depressing because there's only 60 subscribers. So we were asking, would you accept it if it were all on one channel? What do you think? And people responded.
Yeah. I hear somebody that said, love the channel as somebody interested in making the move to Seattle. So thanks. I'd keep the content creation to one account as there is already overlap in the core content between lifestyle, real estate, Seattle living, your lives, etc. I don't think most people will be turned away from any content.
That's good to hear.
Yeah. Here's somebody, I love your videos. Thank you. Can you do a video on coping or not coping with the Seattle season of gray, aka winter?
I remember seeing that. And that's funny. On the drive home tonight, I was like, because this is kind of one of the first gray days. I was just like, I love this weather. But, even I do love it. But there comes a point after a few months. But I think that would be a good video.
Yeah, there's some strategies. We've lived in the Pacific Northwest our whole lives. So
I think we do some
learned to deal with it.
Mostly subconscious, but also we've started doing a few conscious things as we age.
Yeah. Yes. Hi. Hello. Personally, totally cool with the idea of consolidating some of the vlog channel ideas over to this one. Just enjoying the vibes. Vibes. I like that. No realistic prospect of ever moving over there, but it's fun to watch from another side, from the other side of the Atlantic.
It's interesting to hear that people might be watching who aren't actually interested in moving to Seattle.
Yeah. I think it's so cool that we can just put ourselves out there and people watch. I'm amazed every single time.
I like reading comments. It actually feels like we're interacting with people who are watching. And I want comments this time about the this video and the different presidential candidate policies on housing and what you think.
Yeah, and we sent our newsletter a couple days ago, and somebody replied, because we put some of this content in that newsletter, somebody replied reminding everyone to go out and register to vote or update your address. Just get ahead of the game. Anyways, if you're looking to make a home in Seattle, send us a message. Let's work together. Bye.